If you've ever worked in a call center, you might want to skip this one, because what I'm about to tell you started 3 weeks ago, and I still don't know if I've actually left. The job posting was perfect. $22 an hour, full benefits, work from an office instead of home. Customer service representative for a company called Meridian Solutions. I'd never heard of them, but the building was real enough. A squat gray office complex on the east side of town, sandwiched between a dental clinic and a tax preparation service. The lobby smelled like burnt coffee and industrial carpet cleaner. My interviewer was a woman named Patricia. Mid-50s, navy blazer, the kind of tight smile that never quite reaches the eyes. She asked me the standard questions. Could I handle difficult customers? Was I comfortable with computers? Did I have reliable transportation? I answered yes to everything. She hired me on the spot. Said I could start Monday. When I asked what products Meridian Solutions actually sold, she tilted her head slightly and said, with that same fixed smile, we provide essential services to our valued client base. Then she slid the employment contract across the desk. I should have read it more carefully. I really should have. But it was 12 pages of dense legal text, and I needed the job. I signed on page 11, right above the line that said employee signature. Patricia's smile widened just a fraction. She stood up, shook my hand and said, "Welcome to the Meridian family. We've been waiting for you." Monday morning, 7:55. I walked into the call center floor for the first time. It was bigger than I expected. Maybe 60 cubicles arranged in perfect rows, each one identical. Beige dividers, black office chairs, bulky desktop computers with screens that had that slightly greenish tint of old monitors. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed constantly, a sound that seemed to vibrate inside my teeth. About half the cubicles were occupied. I could see the backs of heads, hear the murmur of voices reading from scripts. No one turned to look at me. Patricia walked me to cubicle 42, third row from the back, and gestured to the chair. "Your station," she said. "Login credentials are taped to the monitor. Your script is in the top drawer. Calls will begin routing to you at 8. Do you have any questions?" I had about 100 questions, but something about the way she stood there, perfectly still, made me just shake my head. "Great," she said. "Remember, we're here to help our clients. Just follow the script. You'll do fine." Then she walked away, her heels clicking against the linoleum in a rhythm that felt just slightly off. I sat down and pulled out the script. It was a laminated card, both sides covered in text. Tiny font. I started reading. "Thank you for calling Meridian Solutions, where your satisfaction is our primary directive. My name is Adarain. Oh no, that's my name. How may I facilitate your needs today?" Not help, facilitate. The phrasing felt weird in my mouth, clinical and distant. The rest of the script was a flowchart of responses. If customer says X, respond with Y. If customer becomes agitated, use calming protocol 3. If customer asks about product specifications, redirect to satisfaction metrics. But nowhere on that card did it say what we actually sold, what service we provided, what these clients needed from us. At exactly 8, my phone rang. I picked up, heart pounding, and started reading. "Thank you for calling Meridian Solutions, where your satisfaction is our primary directive. My name is Sarah. How may I facilitate your needs today?" There was breathing on the other end, shallow, quick. Then a man's voice, tight with desperation. "It's not working. I did everything you said, everything in the manual, but it's still not working." I glanced at my script. Under technical difficulties, it said, "I understand your frustration. Can you describe the specific nature of your concern?" So I said that, word for word. "The specific nature," his voice cracked. "The specific nature is that it won't stop. I've tried the emergency shutdown procedure. I've tried the override codes. Nothing works. How long until it is static cut him off?" Then the line went dead. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, pulse racing. What wouldn't stop? What was he trying to shut down? I looked around, hoping to catch someone's eye, to ask if that was normal. But everyone in the nearby cubicles just kept talking into their headsets, voices flat and steady, reading their scripts without pause. The phone rang again. I answered. A woman this time, elderly, her voice trembling. "I need to speak to someone about the delivery. It arrived, but I don't think it's supposed to look like this." Script said, "I apologize for any discrepancy. Can you confirm your client identification number?" She read off a string of digits. I typed them into the computer, into the only program open on my desktop. A green screen, just a blinking cursor and a search field. When I hit enter, text appeared. Client 8472B. Status fulfilled. Satisfaction rating pending. Notes delivery confirmed at 0600 hours. Yes, I see your account, I said, because that felt safe. The delivery was confirmed this morning. I know it was delivered, she whispered, but what am I supposed to do with it? It's still moving. My skin went cold. I'm sorry, what's still moving? The ends are static. Deadline. This happened 4 more times before my first break. Calls that started with normal customer service problems but twisted into something incomprehensible. A man asking why his subscription had renewed when he was certain he'd canceled it years before he died. A teenager crying because the installation technician was still in her house and she couldn't make him leave, and her parents couldn't see him. A woman speaking in a language that sounded almost like English, but with all the vowels wrong, asking about a refund for services not yet rendered. Every time, I followed the script, and every time the call ended abruptly, leaving me staring at my phone. At 10, I took my break. The break room was at the end of the hall, a windowless rectangle with a coffee maker, a microwave, and 3 round tables. 2 other people were already there. A guy about my age, dark hair, slumped in his chair, and an older woman with gray streaks and bright red lipstick. I poured myself coffee and sat down at their table. Tried to smile. Hey, I'm Sarah. Today's my first day. The guy looked up. His name tag said Marcus. First day, he repeated. That's nice. How many calls have you processed? Maybe 7? 8? They've all been kind of strange. The woman, name tag reading Diane, nodded slowly. The calls are always strange at first. You get used to the strangeness. It becomes normal. Then you realize normal was always strange. You just didn't have the context to recognize it. I laughed nervously. Right, I guess I just wasn't expecting. I mean, what exactly does Meridian Solutions do? What are we selling? Marcus and Diane looked at each other. Something passed between them, some silent communication. Then Marcus said, very carefully, we facilitate client satisfaction. But satisfaction with what? Diane stirred her coffee. It was black, no steam rising from it. With the services rendered, with the agreements made, with the terms accepted. She took a sip, then added, you signed the contract, right, on your interview day? Yeah, why? Then you already know what we do. She stood up, taking her mug with her. Break's almost over. You'll want to get back before the next call cycle starts. They get angry if you're late. Who gets angry? But she was already walking out. Marcus gave me an apologetic shrug and followed her. I sat there alone for another minute, the fluorescent lights humming overhead, and realized I couldn't remember what the coffee tasted like, even though I'd just swallowed it. The afternoon was worse. The calls kept coming, one after another, and the script stopped making sense. A man called asking to cancel his service. I followed the prompts, typed his client number into the system. The screen displayed client 330A9F. Status, terminated. Date of termination, 3 months prior. But he was on the phone right now, breathing heavily, insisting he was still being charged.
Sir, according to our records, your account was terminated 92 days ago.
That's impossible. I'm still receiving the shipments every morning. I've tried refusing them, but they just appear anyway, on my doorstep, inside my house. Yesterday, one was in my bedroom when I woke up. The script didn't have a response for that. I improvised. What exactly are you receiving, sir? Silence. Then quietly,
I don't know. I've never opened them. I'm too afraid to open them. But they're getting bigger.
The line disconnected. I looked around the call center, really looked this time. The woman 2 cubicles over had been on the same call since I arrived that morning, 6 hours. She hadn't moved except to occasionally nod. The man across the aisle was typing, but when I leaned slightly to see his screen, it was just rows of the same character repeating, the letter M, filling the entire monitor. M, 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 scrolling endlessly down. Nobody took bathroom breaks. Nobody checked their phones. Nobody stretched or yawned or complained. They just sat in their cubicles, talking in calm voices, reading from scripts. At 5, I decided to do something possibly stupid. During a gap between calls, I stood up and walked to the cubicle next to mine. A middle-aged man with thinning hair, his name tag said Robert. He was mid-call, but I waited. When he hung up, I tapped on his divider.
Hey, sorry to bother you. Quick question. How long have you worked here?
Robert turned to face me. His eyes were bloodshot, but his expression was pleasant.
How long? Let me think. It feels like forever, but I suppose it's only been since the beginning.
The beginning of what? Of my employment, when I signed, when I agreed to the terms.
Right, but like how many years? Months?
He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Time functions differently here. Surely you've noticed. The way the clock says it's 5, but it feels like you've been here for days. Or the way your first call feels like it happened years ago, even though it was this morning. My mouth went dry, because he was right. I couldn't quite remember what time I'd arrived. It had been morning, but was it 7, 8? And the calls blurred together, some feeling recent, others like distant memories.
Where are you going with this, Sarah?
Robert's voice dropped lower. Do you have concerns about your position?
No, I just...
Because concerns should be directed to management. Patricia is very good at addressing concerns. Very thorough. You don't want to be thorough with Patricia, though. You want to stay in your cubicle, answer your calls, follow your script. It's easier that way. Safer. He turned back to his computer. His phone rang. He answered it, and I no longer existed to him. I went back to my cubicle. My phone was ringing too. I picked up, hands shaking slightly.
Thank you for calling Meridian Solutions, where your satisfaction is our primary directive. My name is Sarah. How may I facilitate your needs today?
Sarah? The voice on the other end made my blood stop. I knew that voice. I knew the slight rasp, the particular way she pronounced my name with the emphasis on the second syllable. Sarah, honey, is that you?
Mom.
The word came out as a whisper. Oh, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. I've been trying for so long. Where are you? Why haven't you visited?
My mother died 4 years ago. Aneurysm. Quick, the doctor said. She didn't suffer. I was there when it happened, held her hand as the machines beeped their final sequence.
You're not real, I said. This isn't real. Baby, I need you to listen to me. You have to get out of there. Whatever building you're in, whatever you think you're doing, you need to leave right now. Do you understand me? Right now. I can't. I'm at work. I have a contract. Sarah? Her voice cracked. There is no work. There is no company. I don't know what's happening to you, but you need to break whatever hold it has. Please. I can't watch this anymore. I can't watch you disappear.
Watch me? Mom, where are you?
I'm static flooded the line. Then nothing.
I sat there, phone pressed to my ear until the dial tone started. Then I slowly hung up. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I needed to leave. I needed to walk out right now, go to my car, drive away. But when I stood up, Patricia was standing at the entrance to my cubicle. Sarah, how are we doing? Adjusting well to the workflow? I need to go home. I'm not feeling well. Patricia's smile didn't waver. Of course you're not feeling well. Transition periods are always difficult, but you can't leave. You have 7 more hours in your shift. 7? But it's 5. I started at 8. That's 9 hours already. Is it 5? She glanced at the clock on the wall. It read 11:43. AM or PM, it didn't specify. Time is tricky here. Best not to rely on clocks. Just focus on your calls. Speaking of which, your queue is backing up. We can't have that. She didn't move, just stood there, blocking the only exit from my cubicle, her smile fixed in place. My phone started ringing, then ringing again. A third line lit up. Answer your calls, Sarah. That's what you're here for. That's what you agreed to. I sat down, picked up the phone. Patricia watched for another moment, then walked away, her footsteps echoing wrong, like they were coming from behind me instead of in front. The caller was crying, sobbing so hard I could barely understand the words. Something about a door that wouldn't close, a room that kept growing, children's voices in the walls. I followed the script, typing responses into the green screen, watching text appear that I didn't remember typing. When that call ended, another began immediately, and another, and another. At some point, I realized the cubicles around me were empty, had been empty, maybe always empty. The voices I'd been hearing were coming from speakers in the ceiling, recorded conversations playing on loop. The typing sounds were just a soundtrack. I was alone on the entire floor. Except I wasn't alone, because when I stood up to leave, to run, every computer monitor in the room flickered on, and on each screen was the same image. Security camera footage of me, sitting in my cubicle, from an angle that shouldn't exist, from somewhere above and behind, looking down. I was watching myself in real time on 60 different screens, and in each one I was picking up the phone, answering the next call. My lips were moving, reading the script, but I wasn't doing it. I was standing in the aisle, but on the screens, I was still seated, still working. My phone rang in the empty room. I looked at my cubicle. The me on the screen picked it up, started talking, but the phone on my desk was still ringing. I ran.
The hallway stretched longer than it should have. I'd walked this same path to the break room 6 times today, but now the fluorescent light seemed to extend into infinity. Doors I didn't remember lined both sides. Supply closet, server room, archives, employee records. That last one made me stop. I shouldn't have opened it. Every horror movie, every scary story, the protagonist opens the door they shouldn't open, but I needed to know. Needed to understand what I'd signed, what I'd agreed to. The door wasn't locked. Inside was a small office, filing cabinets lining every wall, and a desk with an ancient computer. The only light came from the monitor, casting everything in that same sickly green. I went to the nearest cabinet and pulled open the drawer labeled N through S. My file was there, thicker than it should be for someone on their first day. I pulled it out, hands trembling, and opened it under the monitor's glow. The first page was my employment contract. 12 pages, just like I remembered. But I read it this time, really read it. Section 7, subsection C. Employee acknowledges that upon signature, employment is permanent and binding. No resignation, termination, or retirement shall nullify this agreement. Employee will continue to fulfill assigned duties for the duration of the contract period. Duration of contract period. I flipped pages looking for where it specified the length. Found it on page 9. Contract remains in effect in perpetuity, or until such time as Meridian Solutions ceases all operations, whichever occurs last. Perpetuity. Forever. I'd signed a contract to work here forever. The next page was my new hire paperwork. Date of hire, March 15th. But not this year, 5 years ago. March 15th, 5 years ago. That was impossible. 5 years ago, I was working at a grocery store. I had pay stubs, tax returns, memories of stocking shelves and dealing with difficult customers. But here, in this file, were 5 years of employee reviews. Performance consistently adequate, never exceptional, never poor, just adequate. Page after page of the same evaluation, and at the bottom of each one, my signature, my handwriting, dating back 5 years. I flipped faster, panic rising. Timesheets showing I'd worked every single day for 5 years. No sick days, no vacation. Every day, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Except the times didn't match. Some days showed 30-hour shifts. Others showed 4 minutes. One entry claimed I'd worked for -6 hours. The last page in the file was a memo, printed on Meridian Solutions letterhead, dated yesterday. Employee 2847S shows signs of awareness. Recommend immediate protocol adjustment. Patricia Chen, floor manager 2847S. My employee number, signs of awareness. I heard footsteps in the hallway. Patricia's distinct rhythm, click, click, pause, coming closer. I shoved the file back into the cabinet, pushed the drawer closed as quietly as I could, and looked for another way out. But there was only the one door, and Patricia was right outside it. The footsteps stopped. I held my breath. Then I heard her voice, muffled through the door. Sarah, I know you're in there. You're not supposed to be in employee records. That's a violation of your contract, Section 12, subsection A. I didn't answer. Couldn't answer. My throat had closed up. I'm going to need you to come out now. We have to discuss your protocol adjustment. It won't hurt. Well, it might hurt, but you won't remember the pain, so does it really count? The door handle started to turn. I backed up against the filing cabinets, looking for anything I could use, any way to defend myself. My hand closed around something cold, a letter opener, sitting on the desk. I grabbed it. Patricia opened the door. She looked the same as always, navy blazer, tight smile. Except her eyes were completely black. Not just the pupils, the entire eye, sclera and all, like someone had filled them with ink. There you are, she said pleasantly. You've had quite the first day. Most new employees don't make it this far into awareness. You should be proud. You lasted almost 12 hours before the cognitive dissonance became critical. Stay back. I held up the letter opener. My hand was shaking so badly it was almost useless. Patricia laughed. It sounded wrong, like audio played backwards. "Oh, Sarah, you can't hurt me. You can't even leave. Don't you understand yet? You signed the contract. You've always been here. That life you remember, the grocery store, your apartment, your friends, those are leakage, memories from outside bleeding through. They're not supposed to do that, but you're a particularly stubborn case." My mother called me. She said I need to leave. Your mother is dead, Sarah. Has been for 4 years. Whatever called you, whatever spoke with her voice, that wasn't her. That was something else. Something trying to pull you back to a place you don't belong anymore. I belong out there. I belong in the real world. Patricia tilted her head. The movement was too fluid, like her neck didn't have the right bones. This is the real world. Out there is the dream. Out there is the story you told yourself to make this bearable. But you've been here 5 years, Sarah. 5 years of calls, 5 years of scripts, 5 years of facilitating client satisfaction. You're one of our best employees. Adequate, reliable, permanent. No. I pushed past her, letter opener still clutched in my fist, and ran into the hallway. Behind me, Patricia's voice echoed. "You can't leave, Sarah. There's nowhere to go. The building doesn't have an exit anymore. Not for you." I ran anyway. Past the break room, past the bathroom, past supply closets and offices I'd never seen before. The hallway kept extending, new doors appearing as I passed. Conference room, equipment storage, meditation space, disposal. That last one was open. I glanced inside as I ran past and immediately wished I hadn't. It was a small room, concrete floor, drain in the center, and hanging on hooks along the wall were name tags. Dozens of them, hundreds. Each one had a name, an employee number, and a date. The dates went back decades. Some of the name tags had dark stains on them. I found a stairwell. "Emergency exit," the sign said. I slammed through the door and started climbing. Up, because down felt wrong, felt like giving in. The stairs went up and up, far more floors than the building should have. I'd counted 3 stories from outside, but I passed the 5th floor, the 10th, the 15th, and still the stairs continued. My legs burned, my lungs screamed, but I kept climbing because stopping meant Patricia would catch up, meant I'd have to go back to my cubicle, back to the calls, back to being adequate and reliable and permanent. Finally, the stairs ended. A door marked "Roof Access Authorized Personnel Only." I shoved it open and stumbled out into cold night air. Except it wasn't night when I'd entered the building. It had been morning, and it wasn't night now because there was no sky, just a gray void stretching infinitely in every direction. The roof I stood on was the only solid thing, a small square of concrete floating in nothing. I walked to the edge and looked down. No ground, no parking lot, no city, just gray emptiness. Behind me, the door opened. Patricia stepped out, still smiling. "I told you there was nowhere to go. The building is all there is. The building is all there's ever been, for you anyway." I looked at the letter opener in my hand, then at the void below, then back at Patricia. "If I jump, I leave. I escape the contract." Her smile widened. "If you jump, you fall forever, or you land back in your cubicle, or you wake up somewhere worse. But you don't escape, Sarah. Nobody escapes Meridian Solutions. We provide essential services. Permanent, binding, essential services." I stood at the edge, toes hanging over nothing, and made a choice. I jumped. The fall felt like drowning in static. Gray void rushing past, or maybe I wasn't moving at all. No wind, no sound. Just that sensation of falling that goes on so long your brain stops registering it as movement and starts registering it as a state of being. Then I hit something soft. Not ground. Something that gave way beneath me like fabric, like reality was just a thin sheet I'd fallen through. And suddenly I was standing in a parking lot. Daylight. Real daylight, with sun and blue sky and the smell of asphalt baking in afternoon heat. My car was right in front of me. Same spot I'd parked it this morning. I patted my pockets, found my keys. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the lock, but I managed. Threw myself into the driver's seat, locked the doors, and just sat there, breathing hard, waiting for Patricia to appear at my window. She didn't come. Minutes passed. 5, 10. Nothing happened. The parking lot was normal. The dental clinic to the left had patients coming and going. The tax place had a bored-looking employee visible through the window. I looked at the Meridian Solutions building. It was there. Same squat gray structure, but all the windows were dark. I couldn't see any movement inside. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text message from a number I didn't recognize. All it said was, "Go home, Sarah, you're free, for now." I started my car and drove. Didn't look back. Went straight to my apartment, the one I'd lived in for 3 years, the one Patricia said wasn't real. But it was real. My furniture was there, my dishes in the sink from breakfast, my cat, Luna, meowing at me because I was late with her dinner. I fed her, took a shower, changed clothes, made tea. Normal things, human things. Things that proved I was out, I was home, I was safe. That was 3 weeks ago. I never went back to Meridian Solutions. I didn't call, didn't email, just stopped showing up. And nothing happened. No phone calls demanding to know where I was. No mail. No consequences. I found a new job, waitressing at a diner. The pay is terrible, but the job is real. The customers are real. Everything makes sense. Except, 3 days ago I got my mail. Regular stuff, electric bill, grocery store flyer, and a paycheck. From Meridian Solutions. For 2 weeks of work. Made out to me. Employee number 2847S. I didn't cash it. Threw it away. But yesterday I checked my bank account and the money was there anyway. Direct deposit. Like I'd been working the whole time. And this morning I woke up and my work clothes were laid out on my chair. Not the diner uniform. Business casual. A blouse I don't remember owning and slacks that fit perfectly. Next to them was a name tag. Sarah Chen. Employee 2847S. Meridian Solutions. I threw them in the trash. Went to work at the diner. Had a perfectly normal shift. Came home exhausted, smelling like grease and coffee. But when I opened my hamper to throw in my uniform, the business casual clothes were there, folded neatly, and they smelled like that burnt coffee and industrial carpet cleaner smell from the Meridian building. I checked my employee file tonight, the one I'd stolen from the records room, the one I'd shoved in my purse before jumping. I know I took it. I remember the weight of it. But when I pulled it out to look at it again, to prove to myself that everything that happened was real, I found something new. Stapled to the back of the last page, a memo dated today. Employee 2847S approved for remote work trial. Duration indefinite. Employee will continue to fulfill duties from home. Calls will be routed to personal cell phone beginning Monday, 8 a.m. Failure to answer will result in protocol adjustment. Patricia Chen, floor manager. Monday is tomorrow. I thought about running. Packing a bag, getting in my car, driving until I hit an ocean or a border or ran out of gas. But then I remembered what Patricia said on the roof, about how I'd been there 5 years, about how my memories of the outside were just leakage, dreams I told myself to cope. What if she was right? What if I've been working for Meridian Solutions my whole life and just forgot? What if this apartment, this cat, this diner job, what if they're the illusion? What if I'm still in that cubicle right now, answering calls, and this is just a story I'm telling myself during a brief moment of awareness? I pulled out my wallet, looked at my license. Sarah Chen. That's my name. Has been my whole life. But in the employee file, in the contract I signed, my name is listed as Sarah Chen. Same spelling, same person. Except I don't remember my last name ever being Chen. I remember it being Morrison. Sarah Morrison. That's what I grew up with. That's what's on my birth certificate. I checked. Went to the filing cabinet where I keep important documents. Found my birth certificate. Sarah Chen. Born 27 years ago. Father, unknown. Mother, Patricia Chen. Patricia Chen. My hands are shaking again as I write this. It's 11:43 p.m. In 17 minutes, it will be Monday. In 8 hours and 17 minutes, my phone will ring, and I don't know if I'll be able to stop myself from answering it. Because here's the thing I haven't told you yet, the thing I've been trying not to think about. When I look at my phone right now, I have voicemails, 43 of them, all from the same number, all from callers who need help with something incomprehensible. And when I play them, I can hear myself in the background, my voice, reading from the script, facilitating their needs. I'm still there. I never left. This apartment, this life, it's my break room. It's where I go between calls to pretend I'm a real person with a real existence outside of Meridian Solutions. But my break is almost over. The clock just changed to 11:44. No, wait, that's wrong. It says 11:43 again. It's been 11:43 for the last 10 minutes. Time doesn't work right anymore. My computer just turned on by itself. Green screen, blinking cursor, text appearing without me typing. Welcome back, employee 2847S. Your shift begins in 8 hours. Please ensure you are prepared to facilitate client satisfaction. Remember, your satisfaction is our primary directive. Primary directive. That's not right. That's not how the script goes. It should say your satisfaction is our primary objective, but it says directive. And I can't remember which version is correct. Can't remember which script I'm supposed to be following. Luna is staring at me from across the room. She hasn't blinked in 5 minutes. Her name tag says employee 7392C. I don't remember her having a name tag. Don't remember her being an employee. Everything is starting to feel like the call center. Like the fluorescent lights and the beige cubicles are just underneath everything, showing through the cracks. My phone is ringing. It's not Monday yet. It's still Sunday. Still my break time. But it's ringing anyway, and the caller ID says Meridian Solutions, and I can feel my hand reaching for it. I don't want to answer. I want to throw the phone out the window, smash it, destroy it. But my hand is already moving, already picking it up, already pressing it to my ear, already saying, in a voice that sounds like mine but flatter, emptier. Thank you for calling Meridian Solutions, where your satisfaction is our primary directive. My name is Sarah. How may I facilitate your needs today? And the voice on the other end, desperate and terrified, says, please, you have to help me. I think I'm trapped in a call center, but every time I try to leave, I end up back at my desk. I've been here for 5 years and I can't remember how I got here. And there's a woman named Patricia who won't let me go, and I'm reading from the script now. Can't stop reading. Can't hang up. I understand your frustration. Can you describe the specific nature of your concern? The caller is crying now. The specific nature is, I want to leave. I want to go home. Please, can you help me? Can anyone help me? And I say, because the script tells me to, because I'm adequate and reliable and permanent. I apologize, but that service has been discontinued. Is there anything else I can facilitate for you today? The line goes dead. Another call is already coming through, and another, and another. If you're listening to this, if you ever get a job offer from a company called Meridian Solutions, don't take it. Don't even interview. Don't read the contract. And if you're working alone right now, if you're in an office or a store or anywhere that feels too quiet, too empty, check your employee file. Check when you were hired, because you might have been there longer than you think. You might still be there now. My name is Sarah Chen, employee 2847S, and my shift never ends.